Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some incredibly fun battles in the Open Great League featuring a Hyper Beam Furret. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Furret is ranked number 453 in the Great League on PvPoke, so this is by no means a Pokemon for climbing. However, that leads some opponents to underestimate the Furret, and the stab Hyper Beam damage is no joke. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Hyper Beam Furret in action in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a pretty nice lead, Defense Deoxys into Pelipper. This Deoxys has opted for Rock Slide instead of the typical Thunderbolt, but Rock Slide will still deal quite a lot of damage to the Pelipper. Opponent will respect it with a shield. Deoxys continues to farm. Pelipper strikes back with a charge move. We see the no shield from the Deoxys. It is the Hurricane. Deoxys banks a Psycho Boost and a simultaneous switch. Furret into Medicham. Medicham farming up, losing CMP to the Furret. Do they respect the damage? They do not! Medicham gets KO'd, get absolutely destroyed by a Furret. Furret farming up energy here. Pelipper will fire off a Weather Ball. They do not want to see another Hyper Beam land. The Deoxys has energy, going for the Rock Slide, but losing CMP to the Pelipper. We're going to see Deoxys committing a shield on the Weather Ball, trying to get the final shield from the opponent or get rid of the Pelipper. Rock Slide is going to be shielded. In comes Obstagoon. Obstagoon farming up. Opponent tries to go for the CMP tie, but Obstagoon will go for the extra. That is nice game awareness there. Obstagoon now going for the Night Slash. Night Slash will come very close to getting rid of the Pelipper here. Night Slash gets the Pelipper low in the back. Opponent has Registeel and up a shield. Obstagoon should do quite well here. Up a shield and up energy as well. Cross Chop number 1 is able to land, making it to Cross Chop number 2. And it looks like the opponent no longer wants to battle. Calamon Toast notification comes through as the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a pretty solid lead, Defense Deoxys into Scrafty. Even without Thunderbolt, the counters just do a lot of damage to Scrafty here. Scrafty is going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play is going to connect onto the Deoxys, and we see a save switch into Lantern. Lantern will quickly be answered with a Psycho Boost from the Deoxys, getting some nice chip damage. In comes the Obstagoon, and Obstagoon will be met with a Surf from the Lantern. Surf does some solid chip damage, but the nice thing is that does not threaten a shield from the Goon. Opponent just going straight Surf in this matchup. We saw the damage from the first one. Obstagoon will be able to tank this no problem. Obstagoon massively over farming, playing to the CMP tie, hoping that a Night Slash is going to KO here. Night Slash onto the Lantern, barely does not KO. Opponent living with 1 HP on the Lantern and forcing a shield from the Obstagoon. The nice thing is Goon can get a shield back on the Scrafty. Opponent recognizes that, and instead they choose to send in Noctowl. That is really nice game awareness there from the opponent, recognizing that Noctowl can tank the energy without having to burn a shield, whereas the Scrafty probably would have had to shield. The Noctowl will get the farm down. In comes the Furret. Opponent sends back in the Scrafty, and Scrafty will be answered with the Deoxys. Deoxys going for the Rock Slide. Opponent committing the shield. They know that if they can just get rid of the Deoxys, then the Furret is going to be in a bit of trouble. Scrafty going straight for the Power-Up Punch. That is not what you're hoping to see. Firing off the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is going to be resisted. Scrafty commits the shield, and now it's all up to Furret. Furret being hit with a charge move here from the Scrafty. It is going to be the Power-Up Punch. That does quite a lot of damage. Furret continuing to farm, gets the farm down. In comes the Noctowl. It's a race, and Furret wins CMP. Hyper Beam knocks Noctowl out of the sky, and that is a good game. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Jellicent. Staying in this matchup to start, farming up energy. We see a switch and a beautiful catch onto the Furret. Is it the Shadow Ball? Yes, it is. What a catch. Opponent now going to answer with Noctowl. Noctowl will be able to outpace in this matchup and go for the Sky Attack. But the nice thing is Sky Attack is non-lethal. Furret able to tank it, farming up, no baits here. Going straight for the Hyper Beam yet again. Hyper Beam rocks the Noctowl. Noctowl in danger of being farmed down is going to be forced to fire off a charge move. Furret is going to let that through, not choosing to make a play for switch, instead just going for energy on Deoxys. Opponent can send back in the Jellicent, but the Jellicent is dry on energy. Jellicent will be met with a Psycho Boost from the Deoxys. Psycho Boost will connect. In comes the Obstagoon. In the back is Umbreon. Opponent was ABA weak to Obstagoon. Furret baited out the Knockdown, and now Obstagoon will absolutely feast in this endgame. Obstagoon launching Cross Chop after Cross Chop into the Umbreon. Umbreon is going to no shield and return fire with the Last Resort. We see the immediate shield from the Obstagoon, wanting to keep the Obstagoon as healthy as possible here, because Jellicent will be forced to go for Surf, and Surf just does not do a lot of damage to the Obstagoon. Last Resort number 2 will get the final shield from the Obstagoon. In comes the Jellicent, and now Obstagoon is going to spam out Night Slash after Night Slash in this matchup. Jellicent will commit its first shield. Jellicent going to start firing off the Surfs in this matchup. Surf is going to connect. They're going to need 2 more Surfs if they want to get rid of the Goon. Obstagoon firing off another Night Slash. We see the shield and the boost to add insult to injury. Oh no. Opponent now in a terrible spot with no shields and a boosted Obstagoon, going for the Night Slash as soon as it gets it. Night Slash takes down the Jellicent and secures the win. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, defends Deoxys into Medicham. This matchup is better when Deoxys does have access to Thunderbolt, but even with Rock Slide, Deoxys can do quite well here. Deoxys will probably want to go for Rock Slide first, and then it can go for the double Psycho Boost. Medicham will strike first with the Ice Punch. Deoxys tanks that very comfortably, and is now going to go for the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will be no-shielded by the Medicham, but now puts the Medicham into a range where double Psycho Boost should just about be lethal. They're firing off another charge move. It is going to be the Psychic this time, and now Deoxys can begin to fire off the Psycho Boosts. Psycho Boost number 1 is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. Deoxys makes Psycho Boost number 2, and this should just about KO here. Psycho Boost will be shielded by the opponent. That is quite nice. Medicham will be forced to throw energy here, and now with shield advantage, you can just send in the Furret to quick attack down and get an energy lead. In comes the Furret. Furret looking for the quick attack down, not quite able to do so before Medicham makes the Ice Punch. Ice Punch will connect onto the Furret. Furret gets the farm down. Let's see, what does the opponent send in? They send in Knockdown, and you already know it is Hyper Beam time. Furret going straight for the Hyper Beam. Big damage onto the Knockdown. Knockdown over farming and firing off a Sky Attack. We see the no shield from the Furret, leaving it all up to the Obstagoon. In comes the Obstagoon. They will make the Sky Attack. Obstagoon can choose to shield here if it wants to. Going to save the shields. In the back, it's a Lantern, and this is going to be tough. Lantern is very spammy with Spark and Surf combination. Going for the Night Slash. We see the no shield from the opponent, and we do not see the boost. We saw a boost in a previous game that proved to be extremely helpful. Can Lightning strike twice? Opponent shields. We do not see the boost, and this is going to be very close in this endgame. Lantern is just going to go straight for the Surfs in this matchup, and as I mentioned, Surf is very, very spammy with Lantern. Surf number 2 will get the shield. Obstagoon going for another Night Slash. This will not KO, but it will get the Lantern low. This is going to be extremely close. Gets the Lantern low. We see the boost, but it's too little too late, as Obstagoon does not get the farm down. Surf KOs, and that's game over. Picking up a fairly neutral lead in the next match, defends Deoxys into Azumarill. Still not a bad matchup for Deoxys despite not having Thunderbolt here, but we have seen unfortunately a couple matchups where Thunderbolt would definitely be advantageous. Going for the Rock Slide, we see an early shield from the Azumarill. Azu trying to get rid of this Deoxys early. Deoxys not going to let that happen, committing the shield as Azu will go for the Ice Beam. Deoxys continuing to farm. Azu firing off another charge move here. We see the no shield from the Deoxys as Azu goes for Ice Beam number 2. Deoxys going for the Rock Slide. Opponent now knows that Deoxys does not have Thunderbolt, so Azu will comfortably no shield. Deoxys farming up, throwing on very nice timing, and going for the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is going to be getting that Azumarill quite low. Deoxys just gets outpaced by the Azu. Azu firing off the Ice Beam here. Deoxys barely cannot hang on, and now in comes Furret. Furret looking for the farm down, gets the farm down, denying Azu the move. In comes Scrafty. You already know it's Hyper Beam time. Hyper Beam rocks the Scrafty. Oh my goodness. Scrafty only able to make it to a power-up punch. Furret able to survive. It's Jellicent in the back. In comes the Obstagoon, and the opponent concedes the match. We see a familiar lead in the next match, defense Deoxys into Medicham. We've seen this play out, a pretty good matchup for Deoxys, even without the Thunderbolt. Deoxys over farming quite a bit. Medicham builds up to a potential Psychic. Medicham is going to full send the Psychic here. Thankfully, we do not see the defense drop. Medicham farming up. We'll see Deoxys go for the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will be no-shielded by the Medi. Deoxys continuing to farm, going for the Psycho Boost here. This Psycho Boost will not be lethal, but it will get the Medi low. Medi is going to no-shield there. Deoxys makes another Psycho Boost, but loses CMP to the Medicham. Medicham goes for Psychic number 2. That will get the Deoxys quite low. Deoxys now going for a potential kill shot with the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost plus some counters will be lethal as Deoxys is able to win the lead. Opponent gonna send in Sableye. We see a pivot into Furret, and the opponent switches out. Furret is absolutely walled by Sableye, but the opponent saw the normal typing, said not today, and they're gonna send in Lantern, which is probably just gonna get Hyper Beamed. Lantern going to be hit with the Hyper Beam. It connects. No one is respecting the Furret, and it is costing them dearly. Furret will be KO'd with the Surf, but this is just an Obstagoon sweep. Obstagoon gets the farm down, and there's just nothing that Sableye can do here. Sableye is going to try and play its way out of this, but the Shadow Claws are triple resisted, so Sableye has absolutely no fast move pressure in this matchup. Charge move coming in from the Sableye, immediate no shield from the Obstagoon, and it's the foul play. Even if it was the return, Goon could have tanked it, but the opponent going for a bait, and things are just looking incredibly dire for them. They're firing off another charge move. Again, we see the no shield from the Obstagoon as the opponent is trying to just KO with foul plays, but Sableye gets strictly outpaced by Obstagoon here. Obstagoon fires off the Night Slash. Sableye now down 2 shields to 0, and Obstagoon will not stop boosting, shielding up the foul play. Obstagoon counters down the Sableye, and that's a good game. Picking up a slightly negative lead in the next match, defense Deoxys into Noctowl. We see immediate save switch into Furret. Noctowl staying in this matchup, and they're going to go for the Sky Attack as soon as they get there. We see the no shield by the Furret on the Sky Attack. Opponent staying in, so you already know it is Hyper Beam time. Furret charging up the Hyper Beam. Big damage onto the Noctowl. Noctowl firing off a Sky Attack. Furret is choosing to let this go, saying, you know what, I've done my job. I've gotten the Noctowl low, and now I can go for energy on either the Deoxys or the Obstagoon. In comes the Deoxys. Opponent now going to send in a Spark Lantern. Lantern farming up here, builds up to the Thunderbolt, and we see a no shield from the Deoxys. Opponent baiting with the Surf versus the Deoxys. Deoxys builds up to double Psycho Boost, but ends up going for the Rock Slide. So it looks like Deoxys is feeling pretty comfortable to stay in this matchup here. Opponent firing off another charge move. This will get Deoxys below half HP, but Deoxys still not in the red, in a pretty nice spot here. Going to be firing off the Psycho Boost into the Lantern. This will not be lethal, but it will get the Lantern low, so we see a shield from the opponent. Opponent firing off a Surf, and now we see a no shield from the Deoxys. Now it's all up to 2 shield Obstagoon. Obstagoon looking for the counter down. Lantern makes a charge move. Does Obstagoon shield here? Obstagoon is going to shield. It's the Surf from the Lantern. In the back, it's a Shadow Swampert. Obstagoon has a massive energy lead, going for the Night Slash right off the bat, and we see a no shield from the Shadow Swampert. But Shadow Swampert just way too behind in terms of energy. Will have to shield up a Night Slash, and Swampert is just strictly getting outpaced by the Obstagoon here. Obstagoon will commit the shield on the Shadow Hydro Cannon. Obstagoon will make the Night Slash, and that should do it, as Night Slash will be getting rid of that Shadow Swampert. In comes the Noctowl. Noctowl cannot make the move, and the opponent concedes the match. Picking up a terrible lead in the final match, defense Deoxys into Sableye. We see the save switch into Furret, and the opponent switches out and sends in Lantern. Again, Furret is completely walled by Sableye, but opponents not knowing that switches into the Lantern, which gets smoked with a Hyper Beam. Lantern fires off a charge move here. It is going to be the Surf onto the Furret. Furret will be hit with Surf number 2. Again, we see a no shield, so Furret not making a play for switch here. Furret able to hang on, but the Lantern lives on 1 HP. That's unfortunate. Obstagoon does get a small energy lead. Opponent sends in the Sableye. Oh my goodness. Looks like the opponent is ABA weak to Obstagoon, so odds are they probably have something like a Steel type lurking in the back. Obstagoon is going to no-shield the charge move from the Sableye here. Sableye full sends the return, and that's going to hurt. Obstagoon farming up, going for the Night Slash, putting pressure on a shield from that Sableye. Sableye is going to commit the shield. The unfortunate thing for the Obstagoon is now in a position where it has to shield resistant foul plays. Sableye will go for the foul play. We see a shield from the Obstagoon. Obstagoon looking for the counter down, cannot quite get there. Obstagoon will commit the shield on the foul play. In the back, it's Galarian Stunfisk, and you already know it is double cross chop time. Cross chop number 1 will be shielded, now going for cross chop number 2, and then you can just send in the Deoxys and continue the onslaught of super effective damage. These counters are absolutely chunking. Stunfisk is going to need 2 charge moves to KO here. Defense Deoxys has a monster defense stat, able to withstand the damage from that Earthquake. Farming up here, making it to the back-to-back Psycho Boost, going for Psycho Boost number 1 into that Stunfisk and making Psycho Boost number 2 before they make the Earthquake. Psycho Boost takes down the Stunfisk, and that's a good game. All in all, these were some extremely fun battles. Trainers definitely not knowing what Furret has as a moveset and underestimating it due to the fact that it's ranked so lowly on PP Poke, and then just getting absolutely smited with a Hyper Beam is honestly what I love most about Go Battle League, is running unexpected picks, catching opponents off guard, and having success while doing so. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.